This week on Country Music Junkies, we are joined by WYATT, a country music band out of Saskatchewan, and we have Danny on the phone. But Danny, there's a couple other members of the band who are not on the phone. Do you want to just go over who they are?
Yeah, absolutely. We got singer, guitar player Scott Patrick. We got our bass player Cam Ewart and drummer Bray Hudson, who are not able to get a huddle around the phone today.
That's all right, not to worry. Now, the band WYATT has kind of an interesting story behind how you guys became WYATT. Do you want to kind of go over that a little bit?
Sure. Well, Scott and I met as songwriters at a sort of open mic songwriter thing, and listened to each other play and thought, hey, our writing styles are very similar. We should get together and write. And eventually we did, and started performing together and realized, there's something here with this. So our first album, actually, we put together with a Christmas album.
Oh, cool.
And, yeah, so we put together this Christmas album, and we still didn't have a name for the group. So we sort of did all the songs as if we'd written them, and then we went in and we played all the tracks. It was our first sort of foray into the studio, and we played all the guitar parts, the vocal parts, the bass parts. The only parts we didn't play on it were the drums. But and ended up, trying to find the sound at that time. And when we finished it, Scott was saying, this has kind of got a six-gun feel to it. And we're just like, yeah, like Jesse James or a Wyatt Earp, and sort of dropped the Earp part and just kept the Wyatt. And,
there you go.
Yeah, so we that's sort of how and then when we did our first original album, we finished it up and we realized, okay, this needs to be a band. This is a sound of a band. And Scott and I had always wanted to be sort of in a band setting, like a Bon Jovi or a Rascal Flatts or that kind of a thing, where you're an actual unit.
Right.
So we went out looking for a drummer, and we came across Bray, and we asked him to join us, and he said no. Turned us down.
Oh, no.
But we sort of said, well, just take a listen to the album and tell us what you think. And when he heard the album, he was sold on it. So.
Oh, well, that's great.
And he came on board, and then we found Cam, and we said, hey, well, we'd like you to have us join us. He said, no, I'm too busy.
You're not having much luck.
So we gave him the album, and he played it for his partner and his wife, and she said, okay, you'd be crazy not to do this. So it knocked some sense into him, and he came on board, and it's been the four of us ever since.
Well, that's great. That's a really cool story of how you all came together. And you've been doing some really great things since then. You won the 2013 Saskatchewan Country Music Association Award for Single of the Year for Jesse James. I know you mentioned that was kind of an inspirational figure in your sound. So do you want to talk a little bit about that song?
Yeah, that song was interesting because that song was one that was sort of pitched to us from a writer that we'd been writing with down in Nashville. And when we first opened it, Scott and I sort of opened it up and listened to it, our immediate reaction was, really? Can we do this one? This is awesome. This is such a great song. And it's a great song when as songwriters you go, yeah, I wish I'd written that song. And when we heard that song, it was sort of like, okay, that's the band. It suits the band so well. And so we were able to cut that song. I know Clay Walker had cut it about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. And the version that we did just sort of amps up everything in it and does it almost like a rock and roll kind of song with all those bluegrass and country elements underneath.
Absolutely. Now, your new album, Should Have Been Here Last Night, was released just about a week ago, which is awesome. The sound of that album collectively, can you kind of pin it down to one thing, or is it a really eclectic mix of sounds?
Well, what it does is it harkens back to that very first album, that Hard Road album that we put out, where the writing was all very in the moment. It's got some really gritty guitars, that Southern rock, Americana kind of feels to it, and then takes the sonic quality and drive that's in our last album, If I Had a Dollar, and it sort of takes the best elements of all those and puts them right into this album. So it's like this album is the album we were meant to make. It's got a real flow in terms of the types of songs on there. It goes from your party songs like the singles, Jesse James and Roll the Windows Down, but it also gets very personal. I lost my dad in 2010 to cancer, and we were down in Nashville and doing writing for the album and trying to come up with ideas, and I was in the room with writers I really trusted, and I said, listen, this is the story of how my dad passed away, and what do you think about writing on that? And they just sort of looked at me and went, yes, that's what we're writing.
Wow.
And so we pulled out, Scott said, you should pull out your eulogy that you read at your dad's funeral that you wrote for him, and so we used that as sort of the basis for it, and it became one of the tracks on the album. So this one also gets very personal for us. So there's those party songs on there. It gets personal. It gets and then there's sort of the life lesson songs. Basically, living, loving, losing is sort of the theme of this album.
Well, there you go. That's awesome. It sounds like quite a range of topics and sounds and everything like that. So fans, be sure to check that album out. Should have been here last night. Danny, where can they go to find this album?
They can find it on iTunes. They can also go directly to our website at WYATTmusic.com, and we're selling it directly from there. They can get both digital and physical copies there. It's also, if you're in Western Canada, you can get it in the Walmart, and the rest of Canada can get it in record stores as well.
Great. Now, you guys have been pretty busy on the road. You opened for Chad Brownlee, Jason Blaine, and Derek Rattan on their Your Town Throwdown tour, but you guys have also been doing shows of your own. Do you want to chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, we had some really great shows out east with the boys from Your Town Throwdown. We also did a couple of our own shows in Halifax and Toronto, Chatham, Ontario. And then we're doing a Creative Mayhem here in Saskatoon coming up. With Tim Coates from Sons of Anarchy. He plays Tig on Sons of Anarchy, and we're doing Creative Kids is an organization that is similar to like a kids sport, where it allows underprivileged kids of all ages to participate in artistic activities or lessons, workshops. So anything from music to dance to visual arts to literary arts. It makes sure that they still have the opportunity to grow in the arts. So we're really excited to be doing that show, and then we meet up with the Your Town Throwdown again in our hometown, so that's kind of cool.
Excellent. Now, Danny, if fans want to check out your touring schedule to see if you're coming to their town anytime soon, where can they go for that? It's on Facebook. If you have the My Bands in Town app, you can certainly follow us through that, or on our website at WYATTmusic.com. Excellent. Well, Danny, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck with everything, and we'll be sure to keep in touch.
Great. Thank you so much for chatting with us.